Hey guys, welcome back to A2D. This is Agree to Disagree. As always, I'm Michael. I'm here with Brian. Man, we have March Madness continues. The AFC has some more moves. Yeah, hey, peace out to Tyreek Hill. He is now leaving Kansas City, going to Miami. Fuck, dude. Like you texted me this morning at what, like 8 o'clock, and I was like, oh, okay. I've heard a little bit of ripples there, but you texted me, and then 2 hours later, it was a done deal.
Yeah, dude. Apparently it's been going on for a few days. We didn't know about it until today, this morning, but the contract negotiations with Tyreek have been going south, apparently over in with the Chiefs, and dude, dude's getting paid more than Devontae Adams. He's a hell of a receiver. He's got his special traits that he can do that nobody else can really do. But is he the best receiver in the game? Does he deserve to be the highest paid receiver in the game? To me, that's a big no. If you're fortunate enough, like the Dolphins, who are in a position where they're not paying for a franchise quarterback yet, to just gotten a good position to where he potentially could get paid. But right now, they got cap space; they could afford it. So for them, it actually makes a little bit of sense. They needed that top dog, and they got him, man. The Dolphins. They got their new coach. This dude, Mike McDaniel, is going all in. He's bringing in his guys. They got Armstead today. How about these Dolphins, man?
You know, you brought up Teron Armstead, dude. I think that was one of that might have been a bigger move, honestly, because if you look at what Brian Flores did with that team with Tua, like they were in with them, they were giving him a chance, but they never really tooled him up, right? They never gave him the opportunity. They had Devontae Adams, they went out and got Waddle last year. They didn't really have the greatest offensive line. Well, now they're starting to piece
Devontae
up.
Parker. You said Devontae Adams. Devontae
Devontae
Parker.
Parker. You said
I was like, they didn't do that.
we've been talking about Devontae Adams so much over the last week that he's on the brain. But yeah, I'm sorry, Devontae Parker. But they didn't really
Right.
have these big weapons. They went out and got Waddle. He obviously looks like a nice piece. But yeah, now they're tooling the offensive line. They have some backs behind them. They even gave them, they went out and got Chase Edmonds, which I think is a really big, sneaky sign for them. He's going to help him out of the
Raheem
backfield.
Mostert. Raheem Mostert
Raheem
too.
Mostert, so they have, Gesicki is a really good tight end. That team is tooled now. Now, if Tua can't do it with this team,
Yeah.
let's be real. If Tua can't do it with this team, he doesn't belong in the NFL. And I like Tua. I think he's a great kid. And unfortunately, he had that hip injury out of college. But Miami is tooled now with their offensive line, with their run game, with their head coach, who obviously is a big part of that run scheme in San Francisco. They are tooled now to go do it. They have Jalen Waddle, who secretly had one of the greatest rookie seasons out of receiver last year with a guy like Tua. Now he's not going to be seeing any doubles with Tyreek across the way. This is going to be a scary offense, man. And we talked a little bit, before the show about how Buffalo might want to be careful now because Miami's coming. They have two good corners on the other side of the ball. Are they done? I mean, maybe they go out and they piece another couple pieces together, but I don't know how cap space is going to work that way out. But they went out and got Ced Wilson, a pretty good third receiver from the Cowboys.
Dallas. Dude, yeah,
Miami might make some waves this year, man. It's all gonna depend on Tua and how
and
much he
Gasecki, dude,
progresses.
Gasecki's one of the better receiving tight ends out there.
Mhm.
So you just hit it, man. It's all on Tua. And that's the reason I still don't think that they're going to win the East. I still have the Bills because the Josh Allen factor.
Yeah,
Tua, he might have the better supporting cast. I mean, on offense, other than Diggs, I mean, they got Tyreek Hill though, Devontae Parker, dude, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson's their fourth wide receiver. Shit,
that's
and
true.
they got Gasecki as that's five just money options you
And a
can really
receiving
go
back,
to.
yeah, a full time
Dude,
receiving back too on third
they
down.
got three of them: Chase Edmonds, Mostert, and then we didn't even mention they got a dude from last year, Miles Gaskin, still under
Wow, Gaskin,
contract.
yeah.
So
I think he
we
kind
have
of
some
falls
big ones.
off a little bit. I mean, depends on
Big
depends
time.
on
He's
Mostert's.
the,
Depends
he's
on.
RB3. He's now RB3. It's Mostert and Edmonds. Mostert's I think is going to be the maybe first second down back, and then Edmonds
Mhm.
will get all the third down work. But they're going to be a split. They're going to be both a couple flex options depending on matchups. One guy goes out though, and then all of a sudden the other one goes way up. So I mean, speaking of going up though, I mean, we just Tua talk about fantasy. That's
I was like,
for
let's get
me.
into fantasy, man.
He's
The
the, he's the
implications
he's the
on
biggest
fantasy.
one that kind of goes up for me. I think Tyreek, he's not the same as he was with Mahomes. Let's be real. Tua can't throw the long ball like Mahomes can, and he
Mhm.
can't extend the plays really like Mahomes can. So I think Tyreek's going to come down a little bit, but Tua's going to go up. And Tua was already actually a pretty consistent fantasy quarterback. I picked him up and started him in my other league a couple times last year. He's if you could start him, and he's got a safe floor. He's always had a safe floor, but now I think that floor just went up even more with Tyreek. That screen game with Waddle and Tyreek, Tua, those are all yak yards that are going to go to Tua, and the touchdowns. Tua is actually pretty mobile too. So to me, Tua might be a top 10 quarterback
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about
fantasy wise.
yeah, I want
Fantasy
to talk
wise,
about fantasy implications here because, Tua just jumped into, like you said, I want to hold the reins on it a little bit. I definitely think top 10, he definitely belongs in that range. He might get overdrafted because of, what we're talking about all the firepower around him. Now, when it comes to ADP, when it comes to holding, we're going to obviously see in the mocks kind of where guys are thinking where he's going to go. I would be comfortable with him in like maybe like the later rounds, like 9 or 10. I'm not going to go up and jump up like you said, Josh Allen. The Josh Allen factor is, guys are getting him in rounds 3 and 4. Last year I saw him in round 2. I mean, people were just overdrafted quarterbacks last year, and it happens every year. So I wouldn't do that with Tua. I wouldn't jump him. I wouldn't put him in the elite range yet. You definitely need to see a little bit from him this year, and maybe next year he jumps up in that range.
he's my kind of guy, man. You know me. I never draft quarterbacks up high. I always wait, and
Yeah,
then
he's perfect.
he's my kind of guy for sure for
Yeah, he's
fantasy.
he's perfect. He's perfect for this year. If you're able to, even if you have to jump up to like round 7, 6 or 7, depending on how your first 5 or 6 rounds go. But if you're looking quarterback and you've already filled like your flex spot, that would be a perfect option. And especially if you've gotten a Tyreek or gotten Waddle earlier in the draft, that's just perfect because you know how we feel about stacks. So I really like this move for Miami. I think Miami just became. I'm not gonna sit here and throw out powerhouse because no team in the AFC right now is a powerhouse because there's so much depth
The
throughout the
the
entire
question is
AFC.
the question is, are they? We just got into the fantasy a little bit. Reality, are they a playoff team? You think Miami? Because now I have some teams listed here that are going to be competing for this wild card in the AFC, and it's brutal, bro. We got Browns, Ravens, Dolphins, Titans or Colts, depending who wins that division. Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, Patriots, all these teams that the Dolphins are going to have to compete with for 3 spots. That's 8 teams competing for 3 spots.
So I like Miami over teams like the Browns only because there's so much question marks with Deshaun and how that's going to play out. And with chemistry and all that, it's just going to kind of depend. I like them over teams like the Broncos only because I think they have more firepower. Even with Russ, I think they have more firepower. The defenses are going to
I
be
agree, but it's the rust factor. That's why I kind of go with Josh Allen to win that division. Still is the quarterback factor. Tua is still the question mark is still there. Yeah, the firepower with Miami is undoubtedly there, but the quarterback position, Tua, they weren't bad last year either. They still had Parker, Waddle, Gesicki. They weren't bad, and he still had his up and down moments. So can we really trust Tua? But I mean, he's
the
in year
one
what,
thing.
4?
The one thing about Miami is if Tua doesn't perform, then they have Teddy Bridgewater that can come in and can win games and can take them to the playoffs. And again, if that guy can stay healthy, he's a pretty damn good quarterback. I think his win percentage is in the 60s. So if Tua doesn't work out the first 3 or 4 games, I mean, you just take Teddy in, and I know Teddy can go and roll with that offense. So he definitely win him some games. And
Just
they
the AFC,
still
man. They're too. Sorry to cut you off. Like Teddy is not going to beat out the Russell Wilson and the Broncos. I don't think like
I
Tua is going to have to elevate his game to a level to where he can go up against these guys because these other guys, a Deshaun, a Lamar, the Chiefs. You got Mahomes or potentially Justin Herbert or a Derek Carr. These are upper echelon quarterbacks.
Yeah, you brought up Lamar, man. I mean, Baltimore has done nothing in free agency. And I mean, I know they have, some health coming back. They have, I want to say Ray Rice. They have, that kid that he tore his ACL early last year and he was going to be a high pick in fantasy. They have him coming back, but and they have Mark Andrews, but they don't have, I mean, they have Hollywood Brown, but they still don't have that prototypical number one receiver. They need to get that guy some weapons. And they have some free agents that are kind of turning their backs towards Baltimore. I know it was money wise with Smith, which was Darius Smith, but they still didn't get better. And they didn't even make the playoffs last year. Miami was a team that was on the border. They
were
got
close,
a lot
and they
better.
were decimated. They were decimated.
They were
with injuries.
decimated.
And they
But
were
that's
still
going to
close.
happen. That's going to happen. Usually there's going to be injuries, not that bad, but there's going to be
Right.
injuries. But I do like Miami to make a playoff run. I do think that they can get into. I do like Buffalo to win that division. They're actually one of my favorites for the entire AFC because I
Yeah.
think Josh Allen is that dude.
Yeah.
I do think Miami can be a 5 or 6 seed, 7 seed at the very least. Dude, they have a lot of firepower now, and I definitely think that they are. They're primed to, especially with their coach. I mean, he's an offensive-minded coach. Offense.
Bingo. I was gonna say that's the X factor, and that could be the biggest reason why is McDaniels, dude. I think he's a good coach. I didn't know a lot about him, but listening to him and watching all these moves, he's obviously pretty good at recruiting. He's getting guys to come with him. Guys respect him, and he can dial it up from what I hear, man. So I think that could be a big X factor in this whole thing is that head coach.
And, I've been saying it for a couple of months now. Like the NFL is changing, so now you're seeing a lot of these young offensive-minded coaches. You still have the Andy Reid, you still have the Bill Belichick, you still have these guys that succeed pretty much year in, year out. But the Sean McVays, the Kyle Shanahans, I mean, these guys are succeeding, and they're really pushing the game forward, and they're making the game fun to watch again and making these teams explosive. So, Mike McDaniels, like, he's going to be that kind of coach. He comes off the Kyle Shanahan tree. So he's going to have not only a good run game, but now he has the firepower, the weapons. And the one word that I would describe Miami is speed. They are going to have fucking speed on offense, and they're going to be very difficult to cover.
Yeah, and multiple. You see how they use Debo, how they move Debo around the backfield sometimes. You could put Waddle or Tyreek in the backfield at a time.
Yeah, for sure.
Both of them, dude. They're interchangeable. They're going to be tough matchup wise.
Yeah, and then you have Gesicki just going across the middle. And that guy catches basically anything you throw towards him. And then, if you get all 3 of those guys, you have Devontae Parker in the red zone. He's a big body, likes to catch balls in the red zone. And then you catch all 4 of those guys. Then you have Chase Edmonds leaking out of the backfield. This is going to be a really tough team to plan for. Man, I like Miami. I like what they did.
It's tough. It's tough for me to put them in the playoffs. I see these other teams. I like the AFC West. The AFC West, man. I just see the Raiders. I see Derek Carr and Tua, and if it comes to a shootout, and now that he's got a true wide receiver one in Vegas, I kind of lean towards Vegas a little bit. So and then even the Browns, a healthy Deshaun with Cooper, unless depending on the whole suspension thing, I kind of have them too. So I'm not quite on the level that you are. I understand the firepower. But for me, it's the quarterback thing, and I believe in Tua to be a steady presence. But Jimmy G was steady, and steady don't win you in the playoffs all the way.
Yeah, again, like I said, we haven't seen Tua yet. I did believe in him coming out of Alabama. He had the hip injury. I don't think Brian Flores ever really gave the guy a complete shot. I mean, he didn't build around him. So this is the year. And I'm not going to say I'm sitting here saying I'm high on him, but this is the year. And, fantasy implications wise, like, yeah, you have to plan around those weapons. And they definitely did that. They even gave him a left tackle, one of the best left tackles in football. So again, if you can't do it with what they just pieced, they gave the kid a shot. This is your shot. They have an insurance policy.
I think he'll do it. I think he's going to have a damn good year to where they're going to end up extending him, and he's going to be the quarterback there for a long time. It's just, man, the AFC is brutal, man. We haven't seen the AFC or a conference this loaded in a long, long time. So that's the only thing. But they're back, man. Miami, they've won 7 in a row last year with a less talented team. Now they got a better head coach and more talent. So Miami is on the rise, man. They're definitely on the rise. Look out for them.
Yeah, and guys, keep go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for us. Keep posted. We're gonna post a video here in a little bit about the other side of this trade, and also all the ripple effects that go through the, like you talk about, the AFC. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stay tuned, and take care.